we have returned. Yeah, and so today we're gonna talk about Galaxy Quest. Um, I just love that title. Like that's just so funny.
One of the best Star Trek movies ever.
Yeah. Um, it's such a great title because like, how can we do? It's like Quest instead of Trek, Galaxy instead of Star.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. So this is like a spoof send up to Star Trek. Um, yeah, and this movie was we're watching this movie in theaters when it came out.
Same.
99. Yeah. I just think about it now. I'm like, why did I watch that? I guess the trailers were good. I do remember like the scene with the little baby aliens in the
Yes,
trailer.
that scene's very memorable.
Seems really funny.
It's really good.
Is there
They're cute
anything?
now, but eventually they're gonna turn mean.
Have you watched the show? Like,
Did you
I love
even watch the show?
yeah. Was there anything like that in Star Trek? Any like
Oh yeah, I'm sure there was always something that looked like something benign or cute or something, and then it turned into something terrible, or
yeah.
appearances are never quite what they seem. Um, I remember actually I think the episode's called This Side of Paradise. They go down to this colony, this is the original series, and everyone's all lovey and dovey and oh everything's fine, everything's fine. And of course, not everything is fine. Spock
Totally.
runs into like an old girlfriend or something, and there are all these beautiful flowers. They're everywhere. And it's like, oh yeah, the flowers are what make us so happy. And then all of a sudden Spock gets shot in the face with like a whole bunch of spores. um sorry, okay. Sorry, it was my boss again. And he ends up being like, "Oh, everything's great, everything's fine," and he's like all high and
You got
everything. So,
brainwashed too.
so that's like one example I can think of where something looks cool where appearances are not what they seem. I'm sure there's been other things. There's hundreds of episodes of Star Trek where I'm sure something has happened like this.
Yeah. Um yeah, it's so anyway, so yeah, so they somehow made this movie which is very fun, crazy spoof send up of Star Trek, and not just Star Trek, but like the kind of Trekkie culture too,
Yes, absolutely.
because that's really what it's kind of about. Um, and so the cast is pretty good. So Tim Allen plays basically the William Shatner character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Alan Rickman plays basically the Spock character. And Sigourney Weaver is basically the Uhura character. I mean, is that kind of the
I think Sigourney Weaver is probably an amalgamation of many female characters in Star Trek, and
also like the
probably I would actually say she's more akin to Jerry Ryan from Voyager,
okay,
because she has a line where she was like, "My TV guide interview is how my boobs fit in my suit," and that was actually a question Jerry Ryan was asked consistently. So I think she's probably more of a Jerry Ryan 7 of 9 than anything else. But she does fall into that being pigeonholed of just repeating what the computers already
yeah,
said, kind of a thing. So yeah, and actually, you could probably say she's a lot like most female actors who have been in science fiction films or TV shows that get pigeonholed or are just there to be hot, kind of a thing. So I think she has a lot of different characters going for her at once.
yeah, yeah.
And the
So,
Alan Rickman one, I feel like he could probably be like the Leonard Nimoy and
oh, for
Patrick
sure.
Stewart,
Yeah,
for sure,
yeah.
for
I
sure.
can do that.
It's like if Laurence Olivier got thrown
Great
into
actor,
a
what the
site.
fuck am I doing here?
Exactly. With 5 curtain calls. Look at me. Look at me.
Yeah, yeah. Gracious. Tony Shalhoub is in this. Sam Rockwell
Love
is in
Tony
this.
Shalhoub.
Justin Long is in this.
Kwan's not even my real name.
Yeah. It's really and I really Rainn Wilson is in this too. I noticed that.
Yes, he is. Rainn Wilson is in it. And Missy Pyle.
Yeah,
Love
she's
her.
great. She is
She's
great
fantastic.
in this. I think it's really funny. Like, there's a scene where they're like, um, what's his name is like the Tim Allen character is like flirting with her. They're in a limo, and he's like flirting with her.
Yeah, because I think at that point, he just thinks that she's some fan
She
or
thinks
some
she's
shit.
bad, yeah.
Or
And
at worst, a cult of some kind.
yeah, or something harmless. Whatever it is harmless. Maybe they're Mormons or something.
And then she's like, "Oh, her voice,
yeah, her communicator is broken.
Is broken."
Yeah. It's like what?
He's like,
And
okay.
he's so drunk he just doesn't even think twice about like, oh, okay.
No.
Is she from like another country?
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, that's really funny.
This movie's great. It's so great. I love this movie.
Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, I guess we should hop into talking about the plot. So the movie opens with them like basically showing the TV show.
Pedal to the metal, Commander.
Yeah. It's and like, so who's the kid in was it the Next Generation? Which TV show had that kid?
Will Wheaton was
The
Will Crusher. In Star Trek The Next Generation, boy genius kind of a thing, but it really just came across as super fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Poor Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
He's doing fine. Why am I saying poor Will Wheaton? He's fine.
Oh yeah, he's doing great. He's doing great things,
yeah.
But yeah, like they kind of made fun of that in this. Like where the pilot is his kid is like, what?
Yep. It's one of those sci-fi gimmick things, you know what I mean? It really is.
Yeah. I mean, the same with like what was Will Robinson like in Lost in Space.
Danger,
like
Will Robinson.
He's like super genius, like built this like AI and all this shit. Like he's like a little kid.
It's a sci-fi gimmick for sure.
It's a sci-fi gimmick, yeah. So we get an idea of like what the show is, and again, it feels very like Star Trek, and it's like, and then they're at this convention, and Sam Rockwell is introducing the cast.
Guy Fleegman.
Guy Fleegman. He was like random dude number 2 who died in an episode. He's just some dude.
Yeah, I was the guy who died to set the atmosphere of danger.
I forget what they called it. Like there's something, they have some really cool name for the convention too. It's like QuestCon or something like that.
I would go to QuestCon, absolutely.
It's like QuestCon.
I'd be Dr. Lazarus.
Yeah. So they're like talking about like, oh, there's this Lost Galaxy Quest episode, and you guys are the first person to see a part of it, blah blah blah. And they're all like backstage, and they're all bitching about how they just kind of hate being there, but they're basically they're there because they need the money.
Yeah.
They want to get paid pretty much because like I guess their careers, nothing else really took off. What's his name? Alexander's like, I will never say that line again. Or whatever. I will avenge you.
By Grabthar's hammer, by the Sons of Warvan, I will avenge you.
My god.
I just have to say, he says that line multiple times and hates it. And it's not until the very end that when Alan Rickman actually says the line and is that line that you're like, yes, that's it's just
and he really means it.
And he means it. Yeah. And he means it because he sees what it means to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I love Alan Rickman.
So they call them Questerians.
I'm a Questerian. I am a proud Questerian.
Oh man, I really do like their little logo that they had. Was that like it was like Earth or something, and like some other something like that.
Something like that. It was cool. Anyway, it's a good design.
It was cool. Yeah, it was very cool. So then finally, the Jason Nesmith Tim Allen character shows up, and he's super late. And Alan Rickman tries to get out of the back door.
And show must go on.
Show must go on. He's like, damn you for saying that.
Damn you.
And yeah, so he just like, Jason Nesmith just loves the attention. Like he loves being the star of this whole thing.
Yeah, because One of the things you have to remember, if this is supposed to be a interpretation of William Shatner in any way, and you know the stories about William Shatner, he loves the limelight. This guy loves the limelight. But the thing is, he also loves the fans. He does genuinely care about his fans. And that is something that is, I think, when we get to the scene where he finds out everyone thinks he's an asshole, is like, it's an ego death. It's a huge ego death for him, for sure. And supposedly that moment is based on a real moment William Shatner had at a convention where he actually heard people like talking mad shit about him in a bathroom. had an ego death for sure.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, it happens.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it's really funny because this whole thing makes me like, wow, was William Shatner like this bad, or is this somewhat exaggerated?
I'm sure it's somewhat exaggerated, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me. Like George Takei hates William Shatner.
They're not
He
really
hates
friends.
him. So
it's kind of funny. They sort of have a beef going.
I mean, there's a reason why he wasn't in Star Trek Generations. Apparently George Takei was just like, I'm not doing another scene with that man. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it anymore. Like, I don't have to.
Yeah, and that was decades ago, and they're still beefing.
They're still beefing. I wonder if part of it's just to like because fans enjoy it to an extent, like.
Yeah,
because sometimes I feel like Hollywood feuds like eventually just like fizzle out, but like Letterman versus Oprah, I feel like they just do that for publicity at this point. I'm like, you're both this old and still pissy at each other. Like,
I know.
I think David Letterman's an asshole personally, but I think part of it's probably just for publicity and to get people interested in something again. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, something. So, so at this convention, they're signing autographs and doing all this stuff, and like we kind of get the sense that like Jason is like really into Gwen. He like tries to talk to her, but she like kind of walks away, and then he meets these people who claim to be that they're Thermians from the Klaatu Nebula.
Oh, Klaatu Nebula. Very nice little name drop there.
Yeah.
Klaatu, Barata, Nikto.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'll do the gig, just like pick me up in a limo, because like the last time someone picked me up in a Toyota Prius or whatever. And like I didn't really like that. They shoved me in the back. So we'll talk later. Yeah, and then we get that scene where he's in the bathroom and he overhears these people like saying like he's an asshole and no one likes him. And then like he's out signing autographs, and this young fan is played by Justin Long, and he's asking him about some like, so in episode 15, like you guys are in the
No, they're not the worst. They just care about the technical side of things.
Yeah. I mean, but that's a real thing. Like there are people who are really like,
it is a real thing. There are people who will hate certain Star Trek shows based solely on the fact that this does not fit. The engineering does not fit.
Well, like there's a great "the engineering does not make sense" moment in this movie. Actually,
that's really it is. It's there for a reason. It is there for a reason.
Yeah, like
I love. This movie acknowledges so many facets of the Star Trek fandom. It's telling you, I see you. Yeah. We're seeing that this does not make sense. This design does not make sense. What is the Omega-13? I don't know. The writers never finished it.
Yeah, they never figured it out, so we don't really know.
But they also mentioned, well, on certain forums, certain fans think it's this thing, but I am of the mind that it's this. It acknowledges you as a fan. And the movie continues to do that even in 2022. Like it saw you in 99 and it sees you now. And that's why it's such a beautiful love letter. It really, really is. And it's one of my favorite Star Trek movies.
Yeah. It's like the meta Star Trek movie.
It really is. It truly is.
So, what's his name? So Jason gets mad at this guy. He's like, it's not real. What's wrong with you? Go away.
Didn't even get to the part.
Yeah, it's and so then he goes home to his like nice LA, mansion up on the hills, and drinks himself to sleep. The Thermians show up at his house the next day.
He doesn't have any pants on.
Yeah, he doesn't have pants on. He's like, and they're like, oh, it's such a pleasure being in your presence. And he's like,
Oh, such a pleasure being in your presence.
they like love this guy, and he's just like, yeah, I know you're fans, I understand. Let me get my pants on.
What's great about the Thermians too is that they have no idea how to act like humans, so they're exaggerating everything. Like they don't know how to behave like humans, so they're just like,
yeah,
constantly
the stuff that
smiling.
they do is so funny. Like there's some scenes when they're like when they're in the ship and they're walking around. The way that they get these actors to walk is so funny.
It's wonderful. It really is wonderful.
It's so funny. Like it's ridiculous what they're doing. It's totally ridiculous, like the things that they have these people doing, and it's so exaggerated and like kind of like off kilter. Like you just look at it like something is wrong.
Something is not right. Yeah, and
wrong.
they kind of move like side to side instead of straight. Like they're just kind of like they're very stiff, and they're like
like the way they move their arms and stuff. Yeah, it's so funny.
It's so weird. I would love to see Missy Pyle in a Star Trek show now. I would love to see her, not as a Thermian. I would love to just see her as like some cool badass scientist or something. I'd love to see her show up in Star Trek. She's one of my favorite like character actresses. Yeah. She's great.
She should be in Strange New Worlds.
She should be. I'd be fine with her being in Strange New Worlds. I'd be great with that.
Yeah, or she could show up in the Orville.
Or the Orville. That's I made my favorite Star Trek show list today, and the Orville was one of them. I put the Orville on that list. I make no apologies.
Yeah, the Orville comes out in from
June 2nd.
Thursday.
June 2nd. We're going back.
And so is it a good or bad thing that the spoofs are better than the actual product? Like how should we
I don't really like saying that they're better necessarily. I think it just shows the love for the thank you. So for the source material, it's like, no, we love this. That's why Galaxy Quest is basically an alternate universe fanfic. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it is. But the reason why they're so sweet is because they acknowledge the fans. It's like like I said, like we see you. We see how much you love this because we love it. That's why we're making it. And there are definitely some things that I think the Orville did better than Discovery Season 2. I think they just were able to because the Orville is also kind of episodic, so it has the ability to condense things more. But I don't know. I have a hard time choosing like what's better or what's worse kind of a thing, because I think it all matters in the end. I think it all contributes to the end goal of just continuing Gene Roddenberry's ultimate vision in some ways, because in other ways I was like, Gene, people are always going to be pissed at each other. Like they're never not going to just love each other because like that's very unrealistic. I think as anyone who's been on a planet long enough who's had interactions with other humans is that conflict needs to exist, not just because it exists in real life, but because conflict just makes for good TV sometimes. And it can't always be just the bad guy. Sometimes conflict comes from within, hence all of the bad admirals that we get.
Yeah.
And corruption comes from within. It's not just an outside source. Sometimes we are the bad guys. Sometimes we messed up. Yeah, I think but things like the Orville and Galaxy Quest, they have their place because they're made by fans for fans, and they're just that's why I love them, because it's just sweet. It's just a sweet gift that I get to enjoy.
Yeah, it is a gift. So the Thermians show up. They're like saying, "Oh, we need your help." And okay, so he's gonna go. He thinks it's just some kind of a show or something.
Yeah, he thinks he's going to somebody's basement or something.
Yeah. He has no idea. He just thinks I'm gonna get paid, and otherwise, who cares? So he's in the limo, and they're like basically giving him a briefing, but he's totally ignoring what they're saying.
He's not paying attention.
He's literally telling them the entire history of their planet and what happened to their species.
Yes.
And he's like flirting with the female.
Hey. How's it going?
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but her communicator is broken." She's like, like,
You're like, okay.
yeah, okay. So then like they beam him up or whatever, and he gets drunk on the command deck, so he's sleeping again. And so then the lady's like, "Oh, hey, sir, so Cyrus moved up the deadline, and so like now we have to, we need you to talk to them." And he's like, okay, so like, do you have pages for me, or do you just want it?" Like,
They get him a Coca-Cola.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So then like we see like Cyrus and his crew, like legitimately very well done, kind of, I'd say, these alien, you know, like suits or whatever, like the way that they did them were very cool, actually.
Yeah, it would look pretty. It's aged very well because they put him in those suits.
Mm-hmm. They're like these green insectoid lobster looking.
Yeah,
like,
there's something a little like buggy about them for sure.
yeah, they're kind of buggy. And so then they're talking, and Jason's like, "Oh yeah, just like fire on him, just shoot, blast him. I got this thing I gotta do in Van Nuys in half an hour, so I gotta go." And so he's like, they do what what he tells them to do.
Yep.
And then they beam him back to Earth. Now this is a really cool scene. Like when they send him back to Earth, they like put him in this liquid jelly thing, and then that then fires him through a black hole that then lands him on Earth.
Yep.
And so for a minute he's like staring at space, and got sucked through a black hole.
And got sucked through a black hole.
That's pretty.
He's had a morning.
Yeah. He probably needs a few more drinks after that. So then the rest of the cast, they're doing this like opening of a dealership. It's like a car dealership or something. Like
it's like a tech store or something, like what Circuit City used to be, or Best Buy or something like that.
Mm-hmm. They're like opening a Best Buy.
By Grandpa's hammer. What a savings. I love it. I love how he's like, he looks like he's in genuine pain. He's like, I die every time I say this fucking line. By Grandpa's hammer. What a savings. Because he's just a gimmick now. That's what he's become. He feels like such a sellout, and I love it.
I think what would be the Spock equivalent of that? Live long and profit. I don't know.
Live long and profit. That sounds way more Ferengi, but
yeah. I don't know, but something like that. So yeah, and Jason was supposed to be at this event, but he was hanging out with these aliens, so he was late as usual. Mm-hmm. So they just think that he's being an asshole, being late, because he's always late. So then Jason runs into Justin Long, and like they swap communicators, which is gonna be important later.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he's like, "Hey guys, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. Like I met these real aliens and blah blah blah." And they're like, "Dude, are you like, how drunk are you right now?"
Yeah, how drunk are you, bro? Yeah, they don't believe him.
No, bro, like, look, I have this communicator thing. And he's like,
"Yeah, we all have those."
And since this was swapped, like, doesn't do anything. But then, hey, the Thermians show up, and they're like, "Well, bro, like, so we fired on him, and he's kind of pissed off."
Mm-hmm. He's really mad. We need you back.
Yeah, we need you back. And yeah, so the cast not having it, they bounce. But then they're like, "Wait a minute, was he talking about a gig?"
Yeah, like, oh, could we actually be getting paid for this?
Or are we gonna get paid? It's like, oh shit, like we gotta go with him, because we gotta do this. We have to do this because he can't do it by himself or whatever.
No.
I love that part where they're just like, oh shit, like we
did you really think he was talking about a job? And they were like, oh, maybe he was.
Yeah. So it is a gig, but not the one that they're thinking of. So then they get like, they're like, oh yeah, so we want to go. We're not gonna let him go by himself. Like, we all go together. We're one cast here.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a hologram of the one girl. She's like, oh yeah, so we'll beam you up. shortly. Like, wait, what?
Mhm.
And they all get beamed up, including Guy.
Yep.
Sam Walker, this random dude, like this fucking random
Some
dude,
random guy.
like literally a red shirt.
Yes, exactly. He is meant to be the red shirt.
Yeah, he is literally a red shirt character, a person who dies when something happened.
So
And
you know that the situation is serious.
yeah. So they get beamed up, and then they basically they see the Thermians as they are, these octopus-looking creatures.
Yeah, they're really cute, but they're like screaming. It's very unsettling. Their language is like, and it's like, and they've got like little tools and shit.
Yeah, well, they're trying to help. They're trying to like see if your health is okay after you beamed aboard.
Exactly.
Um,
And I love that Tony Shalhoub's character is just like going with it. Like
Yeah.
he's just totally unbothered by it.
no, he's totally embodied. Yeah, he's like, whoa, man, that was fun. I think he's
Mhm.
high the whole time.
I think there must be something that maybe it was cut that he's just maybe stoned all the time because he acts like it a lot.
Yeah, super stoned. Yeah, and he's very chill.
He's very, very chill. Yep.
Chill and deadpan. There's another great moment where like they get into this conflict, and he's like, yeah, so like the engineering guys are telling me that the ship can't really take it anymore, so just thought I'd let you know.
Yep. They think that we need to reactivate the propulsion system to do this. What do you think? Yeah, do it. Just do it. He's
Do
like,
it.
yeah, good guys, good job. Come here. And he just gives him a hug.
Yeah, that's fun. So yeah, they get on board, and the Thermians are like, oh, basically they're super fans.
Yes.
But they're an alien race, and so they call the show historical documents.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, okay. And Tim Allen character's like, yeah, guys, just go with it. It's no big deal. And the fun part is, so like they're like, are we on the ship? Like, no, we're in a starport for the ship. And the ship is out there. They look out this window and they see the ship. It's fully functional. It's fully staffed and crewed by these aliens who walk around really funny, like really funny. Yeah, it's like ridiculous how they walk around the ship. I really like that. So then, they crew the ship, and they're like, they're on the command deck, and they're like, okay, we got to go out and meet this guy and stop him, whatever. And then it's like, hey, Tommy, I need you to pilot this thing. It's like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, well, like the whole thing is based upon what you did in the show. So just do what you did in the show and drive us out of here. It's kind of funny contrasting this with like the Sulu moment in Star Trek 09.
Yes, very similar. Very similar.
So Tommy figures it out. He gets them going, but it's kind of off. He's kind of going. It's like, maybe you want to turn to the right. Turn.
And he gets pissed that they're trying to tell him how to do it. He's like, oh, do you want to drive this thing? And then it just starts scraping along the side.
Yeah. So that was really funny. But they succeed, like if you told me, hey, Ibrahim, you gotta pilot this starship, I'd be like, oh Jesus.
Yeah. It's like based on what I did. I was asleep most of the day. Like, what if that was a stand-in just on his hands?
Oh yeah. Like they had him doing the thing, but then they had someone else actually piloting. So then they get a dinner.
Based on what they usually eat on the show.
Yeah. It's like, well, actually, they said it was the regional menu of your birthplace. So the Iowa farm boy gets steak, and Dr. Lazarus gets
bugs.
Bugs and some.
He gets some bugs.
It's seafood. It's like I guess we could that's a nice way of putting it. It's seafood. But he's like, and it's alive too. It's not like a lobster that's cooked. It's freaking live seafood. And it's like, oh, thank you, just the way my mother cooked it. So then the Thermians tell him, okay, so Saris started lying and deceiving and destroying them because he wants the Omega-13 device, which they constructed from the historical documents. But no one knows what it does, and even no one on the show knows what it does either, because like you said, the the writers never got there.
They never got to finish it.
So nobody knows. They just constructed this thing. And they don't even know what it does. No one knows.
We were hoping you would tell us.
Yeah. It's like, no, we don't even know. And so then they're like, well, how does Saurus know about this thing? It's like, oh, well, our last commander, he was not as brave. He gave up the information of him being tortured. And the dude's like, I won't stop torturing you until I grow weary of your cries for help.
It's really sad.
Yeah, it's really, it's so bad too, because like their species is like, they're not warfaring at all. They're not
confrontational. They're very, I think Maltazar says something at one point like, oh yeah, we used to like fight among ourselves, but then we discovered the historical documents and it taught us how to live a better life. And they're like, oh
yeah. Could you imagine because basically the idea is like some alien species saw Star Trek and then started living their lives as Trekkies, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. It'd be so funny, they actually sort of achieve the idea of what Star Trek is trying to be. And you look at human beings and they're just like the most fucked up shit.
Not even fucking close. Not even
close. Like not even close. Yeah. And so then the crew, after they see this dude getting tortured, they're like, okay, at first it was whatever, because we were like in on this bit. But now there's some real stakes where we could get killed by this alien. So we're out. And it's like, oh, well, you can't leave because Saurus is here and we have to like negotiate with him. Now, if you try to eject an escape pod, he will destroy it. So
yep, you can't really go anywhere.
So then they they basically have this standoff. And then like at the beginning he's like, oh yeah, I killed my last commander or whatever because he didn't put up the shields quick enough when you fired on us. It's like, oh, okay.
This guy means business.
Yeah. And then we get some more like kind of jokes, which leads into them like getting into a firefight. And of course they're just not ready to handle this at all.
No. I think Tim Allen's just like, oh, he goes like this as in to like cut him off so he can't hear him, and he's giving all these orders and he calls him a whole bunch of names or something. And then Gwen is just like, this means we're dead because he heard everything.
Yeah. And so then they start getting fired on. They go into warp. The ship can't really take it, so then they like get out of warp and then they fly into a minefield. Some minefield in the middle of space from some conflict. And so they're flying through this minefield and the mines are blowing up their ship. And yeah, I mean, does not go well at all.
No. Which
is sort of to be expected. I mean, they're actors. They're not naval officers.
No.
Yeah, and so they get out, but they survive it at least. They're not dead.
No.
They're stranded. Their ship
a little busted up, but they're not dead.
Yeah, their ship totally kind of like it loses power. And so then they're like, okay, what are we supposed to do? So like, the computer. So Gwen is the only one who could talk to the computer.
Apparently, yes.
Like no one else, it will not respond.
I don't know if it will not respond, but she's the only one who just interprets what it's saying, but in a different way.
Yeah, because she was like, computer, blah, blah, blah. Computer, what's the damage? Computer, how do we do this? And so basically, they're stuck until they can get a beryllium sphere, which is what powers their ship. Okay. And so then they figure out, and I love this. So Tommy gets mad. He's like, why do you keep repeating what it says? It's like, I have one job on the ship, okay?
And it's stupid. And it's stupid, but I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it because that's my one job. It's like, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So basically, and then there's this other funny part where they're talking about like, Like basically, they think all TV is real, everything that they've ever seen, because they bring up like Gilligan's Island. They're like, oh my god, they think it's like a super sad, like real
Yep.
story, people stranded on an island. So that was funny. So they're like, okay, so there's a nearby planet. It has beryllium spheres. We can just go down there. We just go down there. We get one, and it'll be fine, and we'll fix the ship. So they go on. The guy goes on this mission. I don't know why Guy went on this mission. Like,
I think it was because he was weighing whether or not staying on the ship was more dangerous than going on the away mission. But then halfway through it, he's just like, "Oh wait, I'm not.
I'm the red shirt.
Do you guys even know what my name is?"
Yeah.
They're like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, you're what's his name?" And he's like, "Guy, I don't have a last name. I don't need a last name
because I'm gonna die because I'm a red shirt."
And they're like, "You're gonna be fine." He's like, I love Sam Rockwell freaking out. It's so great. He's like, "Do you?
Yeah, it's really funny. It's really because it's like, I don't know. It's just like something funny about the existential idea of like the red shirt being self-aware. Like, like the self-aware red shirt is like a really funny idea. Actually,
Yes.
Yeah, because
he keeps referencing the episode he was in too, like 82.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I literally died. I didn't even make it to a commercial. Like I died.
Yep.
Was there ever like a like in the TV show like where people go down on the planet and then something bad happens on the ship and then the red shirts get killed on the ship? Did that ever happen?
Probably. Like I said, there's hundreds of episodes of Star Trek that it might have happened at some point. Maybe once. Actually, I once read that more gold shirts in the original series, I think, got killed than red shirts. I think. Red shirt just sounds better though. Yeah, I'm sure it happened. It had to have happened. Like I said, hundreds of episodes of Star Trek, and there must have been a switcheroo at some point.
Yeah, Mr. Chekhov, put on the red shirt.
No, absolutely not. Whole theater gasps.
Yeah, I know. So then they go down. It's this abandoned beryllium mine. They're like, okay, I guess we should be able to find a sphere here. And then there's one there, but like then they see that there's all these little aliens down there, and they look really cute. They look like children. They look like little children, but they have these little like kind of, I don't know. They look amphibious almost. It's kind of weird because it's like a desert planet.
A desert planet, yeah.
But anyway, there's this one that's injured and he's like hobbling along.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, he's so cute." And like Guy's the only one who's just like, "Yeah, no, this is not right. This is not right.
It's gonna go wrong."
Yeah, have you guys even watched the show?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's like there's definitely something bad about to happen, and then they watch these little aliens. They wait for the little injured one to like it's like drinking water and it's like hurt. They're like, yeah, they like get around him and then they start whispering and then they fucking kill
then they cannibalize him.
Yeah, they just eat him. They eat him alive.
Yep. It's pretty horrible. Yep.
Oh my god. And so then they're like, oh shit, okay, this is really bad. So like, oh, and then they come up with this stupid plan. But then the aliens leave. So like, okay, let's just go get the sphere and then run away.
Yeah.
And you guys like make a distraction if they come back. So they get over there, they like roll the sphere. The aliens come back, they're running from the aliens. And they're able to get the beryllium sphere into the what do they call that in Star Trek? The
shuttle pod?
Yeah. So they get into the shuttle. But then Jason falls and gets taken by these aliens, little baby aliens. And they're like, let's
hit him with a rock and eat him.
Hit him with a rock. Let's hit him with a rock. And then they, another classic Star Trek sort of trope. He's like fighting aliens in like a pit fight, basically.
Yeah, it's very much the original series arena in some ways. You know, yeah. Kirk having to fight like a Gorn or some other monster of the week.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a monster of the week shows up and then he's got to fight. So this one was this pig thing. He's fighting this pig creature.
Something like that.
And they're like, okay, so we're gonna try and beam you up. And so then like the Tony Shalhoub character, he's the one who has to do it. So he beams up the pig just as a test, and the pig is inside out. So he messed that one up. And then on top of being inside out, it then implodes and dies.
And it exploded.
It exploded. Okay. So then, so they did, he did successfully then because of that defeat the pig. So then they unleashed the rock monster on him. So he's like having to fight this like rock monster thing.
They're like, go for the eyes. It doesn't have any eyes.
Yeah, it doesn't have eyes. Like there's no eyes for me to punch. And he's like, you got to do it, man. You got to just like, Fred, you got to like, you can do this. You never missed a line ever. Like you were like the best of us. He's like, okay. And he's like staring at the one alien. He's like, they have this
he smiles at him.
Yeah.
He's like, I can do. He like zips up the rest of his costume.
Yeah. And so then he does it. He beams him up like just in time to like so he doesn't die. And I love this line too. Like I'm sure you appreciate it. Like, oh, I see you managed to get your shirt off.
Yep.
Another TOS classic.
Always ripping the shirt.
Yeah, there were shirt always ripped off for some reason.
Very flimsy material, you know.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But unfortunately for them, they got boarded by Cyrus and his crew, so like they're screwed. And so like they get thrown into the brig, they get tortured and all this stuff. They've been torturing, what's it called? Like the leader of their species. He's been
Baltazar, I think. Baltazar, something like that.
Baltazar, yeah. So Cyrus asked him about the Omega-13 weapon. He's like, I have no idea. None of us know. We don't know anything about it. And then they show him the historical documents. And this is a great moment because it's like, oh, you guys are even worse than me.
I'm bad, but you guys are messed up.
Yeah, you guys are like way worse than I am because like at least I'm just evil. You guys just lied. And he's like, explain to him, explain who you really are. And he's really like, sad. Oh, we're like actors. Like, do you guys have actors? Like, no. He's too naive. Like, you need to explain it like you would explain it to a child. It's like we lied. We're not real. We make stuff up. We pretend. It's all fake. I'm fake. Yeah, and then it's just like he's like
oh, why?
Yeah. It's like the teenager who like watches Star Trek. And it's like, well, you mean Kirk's not real? No, Kirk's not real.
Yeah, I hope someone's a little bit younger will understand, like, eventually, yeah, it's not real. None of this is actually real. And it's just so sad. And honestly, like, I don't really watch much with Tim Allen in it, but this is probably the thing I've watched the most that has Tim Allen in it. When he's saying sorry, when he's apologizing to Baltazar, I'm just like, oh, it's really sad. Like, they are really naive. It was like their one hope. Maybe on some level they knew it couldn't have been real. Maybe. But it's really sad. It's a sweet, very sweet, because it is like a dad. It's almost like a dad telling his kid, I'm not great. I am imperfect. Yes. I messed up in a really bad way, kind of a thing. That's what it feels more like. It's like a dad apologizing to his kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like Santa's not real, and
yes.
Why did you lie then? Remember that time that I said that Santa like got stuck at the North Pole? That's why he didn't get any Christmas presents. Well, it's actually because I got drunk and I just drank.
I didn't actually buy anything. No, really, it is like explaining to a kid that like Santa isn't real, or But then they ask, like, or he's gonna ask, like, why then?
Yeah.
Why did you pretend they were real? It's like, because it's fun for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have fun with it. And yeah, it's very sad. Sarah's just right there. It's like, you guys are way worse. It's like, I'm evil. I'm really evil, but you guys are messed up.
Yeah. I'm just an evil dude who wants power.
I'm just trying to colonize and take shit. Like, that's what I want.
So then basically Cyrus is like, okay, now I'm just gonna kill everybody. I'm gonna kill you, the rest of your species. Oh yeah, by the way, like at some point earlier they say that like their species has been completely eradicated other than who's on the ship. So that's
Yeah.
it. That is it for their species. And so Stars is like, yeah, I'm gonna torture and kill all of your species, and their crew. I'm gonna shoot you guys out of the airlock, and that's it.
And the rest of you, he's like, I'm gonna suffocate. Like, because there's like a whole bunch of them in like a room that are just slowly suffocating. It's
Yeah,
really dark. It's really messed up.
yeah. No, this dude's a pretty bad dude.
Yeah.
So then, Jason and Alexander, they like kind of do this play fighting thing. They're like, you overactor, like you're an asshole, like you stole every scene from me, blah blah blah, and then they start fighting. This which causes a distraction, which they then steal their weapons and like shoot them, and then basically they then shoot these guys out of the airlock.
Yeah.
And so then they have this plan to take over the ship. So then he talks to like Brandon, the Justin Long character. He's like, hey Brandon, like I need your help. And he's like, man, like I listened to what you said, and I understand, like, I take this too seriously and blah blah blah. He's like, no, you don't understand. It's all real. It's like, oh my god, I know it. And so then they get on him and his friends get on the 1999 internet, and they're like doing these forum searches and shit, like on how to like.
They got like the schematics for the ship and stuff, and it's just like it's so sweet and endearing.
Yeah. And he's telling him how to navigate the ship. And again, like the way this ship is built.
Yes.
Totally incomprehensible. They like go down the air, they go through these air vents. There's this cool scene where they go into like where the Omega 13 device is powered or whatever.
Yep.
Then because like basically the aliens were gonna make the engine implode. So they got to stop it from imploding, or everyone's gonna die. And then we get this sort of throwaway thing where it's like, he asks Brandon like, "Hey, so what does the Omega 13 device actually do?" It's like, well, we think that it would destroy everything, but like people don't really know. But some of us, we actually think that what it would do is it would send you back in time, like 13 seconds.
Yep.
13 seconds. It's like, okay.
It's like when he's like, and even Nesmith is like, well, that's not a lot of time to do anything.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, he even says like you can undo one mistake. That's what he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get this fun scene where they come to this like it's like a trap built into the ship.
The chompers.
Yeah, the chompers, because it's like these mallets just like bang, bang. It's like, yeah,
and they're doing it in different, like there's a sequence to it, but it's all timed.
Yeah,
and it's
timed.
all different. And Gwen is just losing her fucking shit at this point. She's like, why is this here? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be on a starship. And it's just great.
Yeah, because there was an episode where like
you can actually see Sigourney Weaver say fuck that, but they replaced it with screw that.
Yeah, she literally says fuck that. Like you can.
But yeah, there was an episode where Jason had to go through these things to escape some alien or something.
Yeah, ridiculous. But I mean, again, like they've done something like that in Star Trek.
Oh, absolutely. There's always something where you're like, why does that?
Like why?
That shouldn't be there, or like the Jeffries tube system, like doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you really lay it all out. How does the turbo lift get from?
Yeah, the turbo lift.
The turbo lift, especially. There's no toilets. It's just very, very silly. It's very ridiculous. And this is one of those moments where you're like, why is this here? This makes no sense.
Yeah, why are there chompers in our starship?
Yeah.
So, but they somehow get through it. Like there's a kid watching. Okay, here's the sequence: 242826.
It's like, cool. What does that mean in layman's terms?
yeah. But they somehow have to get through this thing.
There's fire at one point. Fire starts going off or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they get through. They're fine.
Yeah, they get through. So then Fred has a brilliant idea of like he beams up the rock monster.
Yeah, because him, Guy, and Missy Pyle are running around. They're trying to like buy them more time or something like that. And Guy is just like, it's fine. I'll sacrifice myself. It's what I'm supposed to do, but it'll be on my terms instead of like somebody else's terms. And I just love Tony Shalhoub's reaction. And he just kind of giggles for a minute. He's like, I got a really good idea. And they decide to beam the rock monster onto the ship.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah, and the rock monster like turns around and sees all these aliens and starts killing them, just crushing them. And then it fights all the way out into space. So it like bashes them through a wall into space. They're in space. And the rock monster's just like, oh.
Yep.
He's like happy in space.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need oxygen, obviously. He'll be fine. He'll land on a planet somewhere.
He'll land on a planet, it'll be fine.
Exactly.
So then Fred and Lalari start basically having sex.
Yeah, they start getting down. And the guy's just like, oh, that's not right. That's not right. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So yeah, and then Alexander like saves the Thermian crew. Oh, and we get this great scene where like, so there's this one guy, I forget what his name, it starts with a Q or something. Quellic is like obsessed with him.
Yeah.
Quellic, he's like obsessed with him, and he's like, he loves him. He's like, oh, you know, I've based my entire life upon your teachings.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Alexander's just like, dude, okay.
But calm down.
Yeah. But like there was this scene where like the alien is like up in a shaft or something. They're like in an elevator or something, and he's hiding up there. He's like, oh, I was able to survive because I used your fighting techniques or something. Like something ridiculous. And so then they're fighting and freeing the crew, but then Quellic gets shot, and he's like Alexander's like literally like, oh shit, like this is sad, this is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Then he dies, and then of course he says the thing.
He says the thing. By Grabthar's hammer, by the sons of Warvan, I shall avenge you. It's so great. And he sells it. He finally means it. Yeah. He's hated this line that's haunted him, that he hates.
Yeah. But then he finally says it. He does it. And then he there's some random alien outside, and he attacks him. Starts fighting him, starts beating the shit out of him. Yep. He avenges him.
Oh, yeah.
He avenges him. So then they retake the ship. And they like sort of have this plan. Oh wait, by the way, this is one thing that I kind of find weird is like, so they're all freeing the ship, right? And then they tell Tommy, hey, go watch video of yourself so that you can pilot the ship. It's like,
pretty much.
Yeah. And so while they're all fighting, he's like watching a computer.
He's literally watching a video.
Like
pedal to the metal command. Which again kind of goes along with the same kind of like, Will, just go somewhere else. Just go do something else so you can be useful later. It's very much like that with what they did. Oh, not Will. Wesley. I kept calling him Will because his name's Will Wheaton. Wesley Crusher. I knew that sounded wrong when I first said it. I was like, this doesn't seem right. But yeah, just go off, do something that'll be helpful later.
That's funny. So they then purposely go into the minefield again. And so this time he's able to like kind of evade the mines, but then like he gets close enough that they start dragging these mines behind him. And then they basically go on a collision course with Saris' ship, and the mines blow up his ship. But we kind of see Saris kind of get off the ship before it explodes. So then they think they've won. Yay! Everyone's dead. Let's go home. Let's go back to Earth. Blah blah blah. We got to go through this black hole, but who cares? But then Saris boarded their ship, impersonates Fred, and then kills everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of a dark bloodbath.
Yeah, and he's just like, he literally kills everybody. So then Jason activates the Omega-13 device, and
has no idea what it's gonna do. He has no idea. And he just has to take that classic Star Trek leap of faith and just hope it works out. And it's great.
It does. It travels him back in time, 13 seconds. And it's like right before that moment happens. And then, so this time he stops the Fred Saris person. So they beat the shit out of him. They stop him. And everyone lives. It all worked out.
Yep.
So they're going back to Earth. They're going through this black hole, but they're going too fast. They're going, it's like, I don't know, warp 14 or some shit. I forget.
They're going too fast, yeah.
So the ship separates, The rest of the Thermians are on one part of the ship. The crew is on the other. Thermians are going off to do what they do. So the second deck is like going really fast, and so then Justin Long, and we get this funny thing. Like again, he's like a teenager. His mom was telling him to take out the trash while he's trying to save. Like
I
he's
love
like,
that. He's like, Mom, this is really important.
Brendan, are you there? Are you there?
Yeah.
And he's like taking out the trash.
He's like, Mom, you have no idea how important this is.
It was a funny thing too, because like so they had to stop the thing from imploding, so they had to press this blue button. They press the button, but it still doesn't stop.
Yeah, it still doesn't.
But it stops dramatically at again another weird thing. It stops dramatically.
It always stops at 1. Yep. Yeah. It always stops at 1.
Yeah. So that was another funny thing. So then he has to like help guide them in or something. Like he's telling his parents like he's telling his parents what he's doing. So the ship, it came in through a black hole and it was doing warp 14, which as you know is really black. So we gotta like guide it in to the convention center. So like me and my friends were going with the fireworks and blah blah blah. And they're like, okay, dude, whatever.
Dinner's at 7. At least he's outside.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes off, and they're literally guiding the spaceship with like they have like fireworks, and he's like got the shit. And he's guiding a spaceship into a convention center. It's like ridiculous.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, but the fans saved the ship. The fans saved the day. Really, honestly. If it weren't for the fans, they would have all died.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they just crash right into that convention center.
Right into the convention center. And they get out. Like they were expected to show up at this thing.
Yeah.
But they were late, Oh yeah, GalaxyCon. Like it's like day 3 of GalaxyCon, and then they show up. Like the thing crashes right into the convention center floor. They come out, and then like Saris is again still alive, and Jason like kills him like dramatically, like does a barrel roll and shoots him.
Yeah, and everyone's just like, yeah, because they think it's all part of the show.
Oh my god! Yeah, they have no idea. It's really funny. Yeah, that's basically the movie. Very fun. Yeah, this movie's awesome. This movie's really fun. It's very good. Very quite the crowd pleaser, I'd say.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah. So, should they make a Galaxy Quest 2?
I think they wanted to, but since Alan Rickman passed away, I don't think there's been too much news on it.
It's although this is definitely one of the fun like kind of surprise sort of hits of the era. I feel like this, like I watched Serenity. I remember watching Serenity in theaters. I still have not watched Firefly. I mean, I'm sort of aware it's become like I feel like that show is bigger than what it like the legacy of that show is bigger than the show itself in many ways.
For sure.
Which is funny. So it's kind of become a pop culture thing that's kind of known. But yeah, this was it's kind of interesting too, because like it like we're talking about like there's a whole bunch of this stuff that's like kind of adjacent to the source material that's done really well, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Just it's a really cool thing. I don't know if we'd ever get something like this. Like imagine if they did something like where it's like the superhero equivalent, like where they're like, oh, we need you, Captain America, to help us fight these aliens because you're like super strong, right? And they give him because like it's like, yeah, we know that you and Tony Stark are mad at each other, so we made a new shield for you, and so we need you to go out and fight this alien.
Yeah, I don't think you could ever do something the same way again. I really feel like Galaxy Quest grabbed hold of something very unique, and I don't think you'd really be able to replicate it again. It was just very special, and people hold it, like, people consider it another Star Trek movie. A lot of people do. I do. Like, I think rounding out all of the Star Trek movies that we have watched with Galaxy Quest is very perfect.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than like half of them, unfortunately.
It's better than a few of them. I don't think it's better than all of them, but the really bad ones
it's
that we
certainly
watched, it's superior. It's
It's
absolutely superior.
It's certainly not like the good ones. Like, it's not better than like Wrath of Khan or something, or like First Contact.
But it takes all of like the fun things, like Saris has that really intense like eye patch that like Christopher Plummer had when he played a Klingon. Like, it's almost like it's little things like that you can notice if you're like a really hardcore fan.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's made by fans for fans, and it's great, and it's a great little piece of nostalgia to revisit and to enjoy.
Yeah, totally. And that's like kind of the fun part too, is like when you pick up all the like the small things that they're referencing that are either sci-fi stuff, like they're from the Klaatu Nebula or whatever, or just like the stuff, like the fact that you brought up, like, oh yeah, this guy was supposed to be the Will Wheaton character or whatever, stuff like that. Like, that's what makes this really fun, is like picking out all of the references.
Yeah, and even if you don't know any of the references, even if you're not like a fan of Star Trek, it's still a fun movie to watch. It's still watchable. You don't have to be a fan. Because I remember seeing this when I was 9 in theaters, knowing that it looked familiar, but not knowing really why, and didn't really understand or appreciate it until I got a bit older and really started getting more into Star Trek.
Yeah. Very cool. So, any other last parting thoughts on Galaxy Quest?
Just watch it. It's fun. It's a fun movie. It has some heart to it, and it's ridiculous at times, but it's aware of how ridiculous it's being. Like when the implosion is supposed to go off, and it stops at 1, because it always stops at 1. The hero always saves the day right before the last second goes off, and it's cute and it's fun, and it's very, very entertaining.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, definitely highly recommend this, especially anyone who likes like just like even sci-fi in general, because again, it's like sort of a send up of the whole culture of, sci-fi and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and comedy. It's also a funny movie.
It's very funny, yeah. So, the next thing we'll be doing will be going to a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, like we're gonna take that road trip.
We're going on a road trip to we're going to Tatooine and some other planets.
Yeah.
And we'll have a lot to talk about.
We'll have a lot to say.
So I guess we're gonna start with the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I mean that seems like let's start from the very beginning. That's a very good place to start.
We're gonna talk about the Phantom Menace. Which is kind of interesting. So Obi-Wan is out. Everyone's going back to Tatooine.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes, not back to back because I was just honestly too tired.
Yeah, they're kind of long.
Yeah, they're kind of long. Yeah. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Honestly, I like it. Something's missing. Something feels very strange. I can't really put my finger on it. Something feels just a little off, and I'm not quite sure what it is. And usually eventually get to a point where I figure out what it is, but there's only 2 episodes out. Can't quite get there yet. I'm not sure what it is.
I think that so we're kind of missing whatever the bigger kind of conflict is going to be of the story. Like, we haven't gotten into that yet. Whatever that thing is going to be. I think a lot of it has to do with the I forget what that one character, the one woman who's like
Reva.
Yeah, Reva. There's something with Reva. I think that's a part of it, because there's something that's going to go on with her. I think with her and Vader, that's also going to have to do with her and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they mentioned that she's trying to just curry favor with Vader by finding Obi-Wan. But it seems deeply personal to her for some reason, and I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I don't know how much Vader's apprentices or Sith apprentices knew about Anakin Skywalker's backstory. Maybe she feels a kind of kinship to him because they mentioned she came from the gutter. He was a slave on Tatooine. There's nothing glorious about where he came from.
Yeah.
So maybe she feels a certain kind of kinship towards Anakin or Vader. But it just seems very deeply personal to her, and I'm not sure if that's going to be relevant or if it's just how they're portraying it.
You know, I suspect so. Like what was it? The first episode or the second one of them starts with the Order 66 moment.
Yes, that was actually very good. I really liked that. I mean, it was sad, but
yeah. And so it seemed like she was there, and
yeah,
so it probably has something to do with that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we like a later reveal is that, I don't know, maybe Obi-Wan didn't help her, or Obi-Wan could have helped her and he didn't, and then she gets, or Anakin helped her, or Anakin like maybe didn't help her but was like, you know, you need to come to the dark side or else you're gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really see in Revenge of the Sith, we don't really see what happens after he draws his lightsaber on the younglings. Maybe he gives them a choice or something like that. Maybe he gives them like, you can join the dark side. I mean, they're 5, so I don't really know how you're expecting them to make that kind of big decision for their tiny little lives. Anakin, you fucker. But maybe he gives them some kind of choice. Maybe he manipulates Reva from the very beginning in the Jedi Temple. He was there. He was there slaughtering them, just like the clone troops were. I did like that they show a clone troop, like a clone trooper who's like homeless now. He's got like the beard and everything, and he's like begging.
That was amazing.
That was sad. Like I was like, oh fuck.
That was amazing because that was like such a perfect like way to kind of. It just everything about it was like great. It's like, yeah, because these people would still exist in the universe, and this is kind of like what would have happened to them. They would have been discarded because their use was done with. And so
exactly.
I also like that they got back the original actor too.
Yeah, that was good.
That was great. But yeah, because like you're totally right. The only things we really know is we see Anakin go in there, and we see that security footage, like Yoda shows Obi-Wan some of the security footage, and we see him dueling a child, just to kind of like make the point, like, yeah, he killed the kids. Like, there's no doubt about it. He killed a lot of these kids, and so there's definitely a possibility that he did like give some of them an ultimatum, and maybe we'll even see a scene where, like, you know, Anakin gives her an ultimatum and she joins him.
Exactly. You know? I think there's going to be something like that because, like I said, it feels extremely personal for her. And like there's only 2 episodes. I understand they can't, you know, shoot their whole shot right in the very beginning. I hope that there's an explanation for it. And the whole, you know, because it opened with the Order 66 and the massacre at the Jedi Temple, I think that's going to become a bit more relevant, hopefully. But yeah, she just seems like really up Vader's ass, and I'm just like, why though? I mean, I get he's Vader, like I totally get it, trust me. But like, to go like to go to the extremes that she does go to, especially since she does let Obi-Wan go, like Obi-Wan still gets away from her when the other guy, the Grand Inquisitor was just like, no, let me show you how it's done. You're fucking this up, and he's gonna get away, and then he gets away. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, girl, you're kind of bad at what you do. Like, you're not that kind of a dick, actually.
And she also hires these buffoons, these buffoonish people to do this whole plot.
Yeah, her plan isn't very good. Her plan is not very good. Like, oh, I'm gonna flush him out. I'm like, you're just gonna reap more chaos. Like, that's all that's gonna happen. Like, it's not a very good plan, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But the actress isn't bad. I don't dislike the actress.
No, I mean, she's certainly not bad. I would agree with that.
Whoa.
I think they've kind of made the character kind of one-dimensional. I think that's.
I agree. I do agree with that. I hope that there's more to her than just, oh, I'm gonna kill everyone's family. I'm like, great, I've seen that 1,000 fucking times before.
Okay. How'd you feel about the Leia actress?
Oh, she's fucking adorable. I would die for that child. Like, the second I laid eyes on her, I'm like, yep, okay, I'm done. I'm like, That's it. When she has her conversation with Bail Organa, I was just like, they're on like the balcony, and you just see like, I like that it was like a wide shot, so you can see how tiny she is compared to like, and I like being on Alderaan, compared to like how big and imposing he is compared Jimmy Smits is, and it's just a very sweet scene because I feel like it goes deeper than just her being in trouble. It's almost like she's like, well, I'm not even a real Organa, so like it doesn't really matter. Like it's almost like this conversation about like adoption as well, in my opinion. It's like, no, you're loved regardless of where you came from. Like, and yeah, I thought baby Leia was sweet. I thought it was really sweet. And honestly, it kind of just goes to show like, okay, Obi-Wan cared more about than just Luke. It wasn't just Luke, there was another child, Obi-Wan, you fucking idiot. Like, but then also in Return of the Jedi, he's just like, oh, he's our last hope. It's like, did you just forget about Leia? Did you just totally like just axe her entirely? But yeah, it's just I like that he finally uses the Force by saving her. I thought it was good.
Yeah, he uses the Force. He's also like the one thing that kind of got me a little excited was like he starts to talk to Qui-Gon, or he tries to.
Yeah, he's trying to talk to Qui-Gon.
That was kind of like oh like they're, because like they know that we want to see it. They know that we want to see like the Force ghost of Qui-Gon, and I'm wondering if it's gonna happen or not. I really am. I hope it happens. I
feel like it'll probably happen. I feel like it'll probably be a thing, and I feel like people are gonna probably poop their pants. I feel like it's gonna be a thing. You can't build it up. You can't build it up like that with no payoff. And if there is no payoff, it's gonna be really disappointing. I personally, if they didn't include him, I'd be fine with it, because I hated Qui-Gon. But I also understand why people would really want to see that. I'm sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. Why people would want to see that come full circle. So I get why it would mean something to other people. I didn't like him, but if he shows up, I'm not going to be mad about it. I'll probably just feel indifferent about it. It would have to be really fucking amazing for me to be like, yeah, Qui-Gon's here.
Yeah. I mean, the just like the only real thing about the whole Qui-Gon thing is like, I don't know if he's the first, but he's one of them who like masters the Force ghost thing. At least that's what seems to be the implication, because at the end of Revenge of the Sith, that's one of the things that Yoda tells Obi-Wan is like, oh, by the way, like, Qui-Gon, you need to talk to your, like, he tells him you have to talk to your master Qui-Gon. He's mastered the art of like living after death using the Force.
Yeah, he's in this cosmic fucking grave somewhere, just like chilling and hopefully not fucking up anybody else's life. But Yoda also was like, I'll train you to communicate with him, which led me to believe that maybe by the time we got to Obi-Wan's story, he would have mastered it by now. But then again, it could just be something really difficult. Obi-Wan's also in hiding. He doesn't want to reveal that he can use the Force. So it might be taking a little bit longer. He also is just super disconnected from everything. He's very disconnected.
The other thing too that may have happened, and that kind of...
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Bless you.
Thank you.
That kind of brings up another thing. It's like, will we see Yoda in this show? I mean, you could kind of make the case that maybe we, like, you kind of perfectly summarize why we might see Yoda. Yeah. Because it's this Yoda, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan thing.
So is this is taking place 10 years after Order 66?
Yeah.
And
5 years before A New Hope, I believe.
And what about Mandalorian? Where does that's immediately after the fall of the Empire?
Yeah, so Mandalorian is between so Mandalorian sits between like the end of Return of the Jedi and what would be the sequel trilogy.
Okay. So they could possibly be running simultaneously within the same timeline? Or
well, I would say Obi-Wan is before that, and like by a fair amount. So like the three, so Obi-Wan is taking place before Star Wars is even happening.
Okay, yeah. I was starting to confuse myself even as I was saying it.
Yeah, it's because like there's these time jumps, like after Revenge of the Sith, there's like a time jump of, I don't know, maybe 15 years, I believe is the amount of time that comes to Star Wars, the first movie, A New Hope. So basically this movie is like in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they don't have any star dates or anything like that, so we don't have to get too nitpicky with it, like Star Trek. So that's like the upside.
Yeah, because the dates are all like they actually, to be the funny thing is they've completely changed the timeline again. So like it used to be like BBY or whatever before Battle of Yavin. They changed that again based on the Rise of Skywalker. So Rise of Skywalker, I believe now is like year 0. And they've everything. Yeah, I think so. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think that's how they now date things.
Okay.
Because that's like the biggest battle in the history of Star Wars is what happened in Rise of Skywalker. So they've now repositioned that as a new.
That was.
Well, I mean that last battle was like, you know, they had 1 billion Death Stars or something.
Okay.
I know. Yeah. I mean, you know, I totally agree. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that movie. Oh my god.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like we could see Yoda in the show. That would be cool. And the other thing I was thinking too is like, you know, maybe one of the reasons like he's kind of calling out to Qui-Gon is like maybe he figured out how to talk to Qui-Gon, you know, basically what would be 10 years ago in the timeline of this.
But Qui-Gon's like leaving him on red.
Well, really, it would be like Obi-Wan, like maybe lost his touch with the Force because he's been, you know,
that's true.
He's been farming and he's been working at the meat factory for a decade.
Yeah, that could also that's a very real possibility for sure. Because even when he's trying to save Leia, he's struggling. He's like, struggling. I don't think I can do this. Yes. And yeah.
Yes, he is struggling. He's not like he was when he was General Kenobi, the negotiator.
No, his confidence is shot.
Yeah, his confidence.
I did love seeing the hand-to-hand combat. We've never really seen Obi-Wan like fight like that before, which I thought was pretty interesting.
No, not really. He does do some when he fights Anakin. He does have some.
They've got some moves, but it's mostly about the lightsabers. It's about the lightsabers. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see what kind of lightsaber fights we're gonna see because like the prequels were all about the choreography of the lightsaber fights. Like Revenge of the Sith is like those movies are trash, but like those choreography the choreography for the fight scenes are amazing. It really, really is. I give them total props for that, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I honestly think that the first one had the best. I really think that when they fought Darth Maul, that was the best fight.
That was very well done. That was very, very well done. I do like the last duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin. That's really good too. But it's just then I remember they're just in front of a blue screen.
Yeah, that's the one thing that kind of sucks is like you can tell in those movies, especially this Attack of the Clones. Jesus.
No, it's so bad.
Attack of the Clones is just a computer render, basically. I mean, you know, I'll give them credit. Like that was some like they were really on the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of technology with that film. But the disadvantage is that it was not ready.
It wasn't ready, and it didn't age well. It didn't. Like there's a shot of Padme lying in the sand after she falls out of the transport like an idiot. And like a clone trooper like runs up to her, and I'm like, he's not there.
No, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm like, why didn't you just?
No, we need to go over here. It's like,
why didn't you just put him in a costume? Like, why did you? Like, I just didn't understand why.
They didn't make a single like costume for any of these troopers. Like, it's.
I guess they were trying to. I don't even know how cost effective that would have been. Like to render hundreds of clone troopers instead of just making a styrofoam costume or whatever the fuck they use. I've seen some amazing costumes made out of cardboard. Like, I just don't know how I don't know what, like, if they saved money or if they spent. I feel like they probably spend more money. But that's I don't know how much it costs.
I think that was just George's prerogative. I think after the blowback hit on the first movie, he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go full bore with what I want to do. I'm gonna use digital cameras. I'm gonna use all green screen and blue screen sets. I'm gonna control everything.
It looks terrible. And it looks terrible. It doesn't look
it did not age
good.
well. You know, I mean, there are some scenes where they shot on location with the romantic subplots that are kind of cool. The subplots themselves, not great, but you know, those they were in, I don't know, it looked like Europe or something.
It's like, it's almost like the scenery can't salvage the crap. It's like,
no, it can't. It cannot.
I'm in so much pain because I love you. Oh, get the fuck out of my face. Like, Padme, just hook up with Obi-Wan already. Like, it's so much better for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would have rooted for that. I would have loved to have seen if they had made like an emo love triangle. I'm like, oh my god, can you imagine how unbearable that would have been?
There's some stuff in Revenge of the Sith where, like, you know, he's very like they have an interesting relationship, her and Obi-Wan, because
he's like, oh, was Obi-Wan here? And she's like, yeah, get fucked. It's like, but that's the only thing.
Like, yeah, he legit says that to her. Like
what, do you smell him or some shit? Like, what's good, bro? Like, you're okay. So now you're like, was Obi-Wan here?
You turned her against me. It's like, no, dude, you did that yourself.
You literally like have done all of that yourself. You have no one. You have no one to blame, but you. You murdered children multiple times. You murdered Tusken children. No one gave a fuck about that, apparently. But you also murdered younglings. And by the way, she's pregnant. Probably doesn't think you're a very good father figure at this point. Like, you turned her against me. It's like, shut up. Shut up, Anakin.
It's like, bro, you went full psycho. You went full like how insane do you have to be?
You have completed your incel journey. Here is your medal. Here is your trophy. And yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, just terrible. Just terrible.
One thing about the Skywalker is, like, the school shooter gene skips this generation. Because Kylo picked up where his grandfather left off with killing kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how that works. It's almost like these are bad people who should stop reproducing or something. Just stop. Just end it.
Yeah, I know.
Save everyone a whole bunch of trouble.
You turned her against me. I love that.
It's like, what, are we fighting on MySpace right now? She put Obi-Wan as her top friend.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. And then he, like, changes his avatar to like a guy really mad with, like, he, like, lights up the lightsaber. That's
it's like, yeah, maybe, I mean, she probably wouldn't have died if she hooked up with Obi-Wan.
Like there's a scene where he tells her, like, yeah, I saw him, like, killing younglings, and she's like, no, there's no way. He
admitted to murdering Tusken children. You're surprised he would kill them.
She, like, that's like a really, like, a thing that it'll be fun for us to talk about when we talk about those two movies, is like all the fucking red flags.
All of them.
This guy was red flag city. I mean,
he's a walking red flag.
Yeah, they have this conversation where he's basically like, yeah, you know, like the equivalent would be like, yeah, you know, I kind of like Trump, but I don't think he goes far enough. Like, that's basically what he says.
I love democracy.
Yeah. Like,
what the fuck ever.
Yeah, I've been on 4chan a lot, and, like, I just think that he doesn't go far enough, you know?
So, like, Elon Musk isn't that bad. So, like, I'm thinking of getting my NRA card.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to a couple conventions.
Yeah.
I don't like you hanging out with a person we've literally known since you were 13. Who's been nothing but nice to you.
Like, hella possessive. Like, I don't want you hanging out with Obi-Wan anymore.
It's like, fuck you, bro. She can hang out and bang whoever she wants. It's like, I don't know why she's not, honestly. I don't see the appeal of Anakin Skywalker. I see the appeal of Hayden Christensen. Dude's freaking cute. Yeah, okay. But when he says things,
yeah, when the
I've been
words
thinking about you nonstop since I was 10.
I'm sorry. What? No, that's not sexy. That's not a good look.
Homie. No, it's not. She's not. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a lot of red flags in that relationship, but she just ignored them. I mean, especially like after he's like, yeah, I killed them all. I killed the women and the children. It's like, whoa. Do people just like think the Tuscans are just trash?
Up until the Mandalorian, they did.
I mean, basically, yeah. I mean,
up until then, like, everyone it was a very racist stereotype, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, for real. Like seriously, they were like treated as just basically like they were an allegory for Native Americans.
Yeah, it's just
like also dehumanized because
completely dehumanized.
Never see their face, but they're human. They're humanoid.
Yeah, they're and yeah, it's just.
And they're treated like animals, like literally treated like animals.
Anakin calls them animals. Yeah. Like a white dude's going and killing an indigenous people that's been on the planet since before anybody else got there. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad.
One thing I will say, I mean, whoever was the Tusken who and they kind of like in Book of Boba Fett, they kind of make the case that like not all the tribes are the same. Some of them are maybe a little bit more warfaring. Some of them are maybe more prone to like enslaving people. Like the people who enslaved his mom, they probably deserve to die. I mean, I have no love for slavers. Like they
no, not at all.
Now, when you go and decide, okay, I'm going to kill everybody and show no mercy and like kill kids and women mercilessly, we're going too far.
Yeah, that's just wrong. That's just absolutely terrible.
But you know, that's Anakin for you. Anyway, so that's what people have to look forward from us in the future. We're going to a galaxy far, far away.
You've had a little preview.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun. I think the thing I'm definitely kind of curious about. We talk about Solo and Rogue One. Those will be fun too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Plus The Last Jedi. I think those will be some discussions that we're gonna have. So, all right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Until then, may the Force be with you.
Live long and prosper, and never give up, never surrender.
Never give up.